Hello. I was thinking today about this theme, right? Which is when you feel connected, when you're strong in your authentic self, you don't have the same kind of fears and worries, right? You don't fear somebody else's excellence. Uh, and you don't fear that much being misunderstood or maybe somebody says something negative. I mean, that's never nice, right? But you don't fear it in the same way when you feel strong in yourself. um, Hi, my name is Dr. Asatar Bear, and I do this live stream meditation class each week. This is an introduction to heart rhythm meditation, which is a method that comes out of Sufism of Hazrat Inayat Khan. And I have a wonderful guest today, Leah Schaefer, who's a dear friend,
Hello.
and has been a student and teacher of meditation for many years. And so we're delighted to have her with us today.
Thank you so much, Asatar. I'm really happy to be here. Um, this is my second appearance on the show, and I was super happy to be invited back because, it's interesting with our topic today being isolation and how to move from isolation to connection specifically. Um, when you meditate, like you're most of the time doing it alone. And so it's always, to me, it's like a really big joy actually to share meditation. And while, having a private practice is really important, it's always better to be balanced with anything. And so like connecting with Hasatar here and connecting here with all of you is such like, it just adds like butter to the bread, it just gives a lot more richness to this experience. And so it's not something, even though it is something practiced alone, it's really not something that necessarily needs to be isolating. So,
Yeah, absolutely. We were joking about this, because we're like, well, we want to have a theme about but being connected, connected to yourself, but connecting to others, connected. We're all part of one being here, Um, and then, so Leah's like, well, you are by yourself in a room. I mean, is it a stretch for us to say that you, learn, go to your room alone and close your eyes and connect with others? Like, that seems like maybe we're going to lose people there, right? But it does work. This is the thing, right? Because what makes us feel disconnected? What makes us feel isolated? What makes us feel alienated? Um, well, there's a lot of things, right? There's a lot, there's a lot of. If we're going to be honest, there's a
so
unbelievable number of things that lead to this, right? But some of them are from within us. Some of it is we resist the connecting with others, right? We're afraid, we're afraid to really be who we are. We're afraid that that's not going to be met or that's not going to be accepted. So that's the part that we're working on in ourselves, right? Like, and of course we have to take this out into the world and, actually, connect with people in real life as well. But, we, we're better able to do that if we do some work on ourselves, right? That's the idea. Am I right here, Leah?
yeah, absolutely. Well, because the way that we feel internally will paint the picture of the external world. So, you know, when you open up, and this is something that we'll go into at some point this evening, but when you open up to being able to feel love within your heart and within yourself, that's when you can really feel how actual abundant that it is. It's something where, but if internally you're really kind of closed off or shut in for whatever reason, that can really, like, even if somebody's giving you a ton of love, like you might not be able to inhale any of it. You might not be able to feel any of it. So yeah, it definitely is one of those things where it's like, that constant inner and outer world connection. But if the inner world is not, like, if your inner life is not connected with love itself, either for others, for yourself, or just for life itself, then you won't be able to experience it, even when it's coming at you full force.
The Sufis tell us that the love of the divine being of the source is all around us all the time, is falling upon us continuously like rain. And yet we don't generally appreciate it. We don't generally notice it. We don't, we're focused so much on our limitations and pains and, unfulfilled desires and all this stuff, right? That we don't see the enormity of the gift that we're given every day. Um, well, let's talk a little bit about, what is meditation, what is heart rhythm meditation, um, and just to try it out, because you want to have an experience of something, right? You all have come here to learn meditation, right? So let's try it out. Okay, so the first step in any kind of meditation is to get your base together, right? So get your posture ready for meditation. The kind of posture that we want to be upright. All right, so I'm sitting in like a regular kind of office chair here. I don't know if you guys can see it in the background, um, but I don't let my back touch it. Right, I've got a little bit of a cushion on my lower back. Um, it allows me to be upright, but also be relaxed. Right, that's what we're aiming for: upright, relaxed posture. We want to be upright because upright is energetic. We don't want to be sinking into with our back, right? Because it's too close to sleep. Meditation is not sleep, right? We want to be, we want to be active within, right? Even though we're still, right? Um, so good posture. Try to relax as much as you can within that posture. It might feel a little bit stiff at first. It might feel a little bit unnatural to be sitting so upright, but you might also notice as you do it that there's a lot of energy in that, right? There's a lot of energy in that. And that there's certain places on your body that might feel more engaged. Okay. You have to keep some tension in your abdominal muscles in order to keep yourself up. Some tension in your back as well, right? All around the core. This is what keeps you upright. But try to use the minimum amount that you can while still maintaining that posture. And as you turn your attention to your breath, start to just let the tension fall away, right? That it's not necessary. Okay. And you can just experiment with that. Okay. The breath is flowing through you, dissolving all the unnecessary tension. So you need some tension in your abdominal region, but do you need that in your shoulders and in your neck and in your traps and all of that? All these places that we often hold tension. Maybe not. Right? Maybe on the next inhalation, you can just release that and let it go. So now that we're focusing on our breath, we want to make some specific interventions to the breath. We want to work on making the breath optimal. And the first intervention that we can make is to bring the breath down deep into the belly so that your belly is expanding as you breathe in and it's contracting, getting smaller as you breathe out. Right? This triggers the relaxation response in the body, it triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, and it's very powerful, right? We do this as we relax anyway. So we're just making it conscious, letting that happen a little bit. Perhaps it happens a little bit faster if we're conscious of it. I hope it doesn't stress you out if I say relax faster. I mean, that seems like a contradiction, right? But it's good to be able to relax quickly. It's a changing of your state. We don't need to hold that tension anymore in our bodies, in our minds, in our emotions. We can release it. And the breath is a tremendous tool for that. All right, the next thing we want to do is to make the breath slow. So deep, slow breath. That means your breath takes more time, longer on the inhalation and longer on the exhalation. Just extend it on both sides. slow down your breath and you slow down the rhythm of your body. And you may find yourself settling in now. Maybe there's some kinks that need to be worked out. Maybe you need to settle into your posture. But once you've done that, you may find it becomes more comfortable to be still. If you're feeling fidgety, just work on your breath, right? Work on making your breath deep and smooth and slow. All right. So our next step, then, we want to make the breath rhythmic as well. So this is all, you see how this is kind of all development of a piece, right? Like we make it deep, we make it slow. Even rhythm means we want to have the same length and intensity on the inhalation as the exhalation. Okay. So inhaling takes the same amount of time as the exhale, right? A lot of times our breath has become uneven by habit. We want to even it out, right? Breath is our fundamental exchange of life with the universe. So we want to be giving, right? As we exhale, we're giving. As we inhale, we're receiving. And we want to do that in an even fashion, right? We want to do it slowly so that we can appreciate it, right? We do it quickly if we do it unconsciously, if we do it raggedly, unevenly. We do not get the power of the breath, right? The power of the breath is in its fullness, in its rhythmic nature, in its slowness, in the uniting with the breath with our intention. Right? All right. So the next thing we want to add is to make the breath heart centered. Right now, I'm talking already about giving and receiving. So the heart here is the center of your emotions, the center of your values, your principles, who you are, right? Imagine as you breathe that it is your heart that is taking in the energy of the breath, okay? Breath is energy, breath is life. Take in that life and revitalize your heart, yourself at the very deepest, most fundamental level. Right? Now, if you can, if you're noticing this and if you can feel this, then feel your heartbeat along with it. Right? Count the beats of your heart. Keep them in mind. Breathe the same number of beats on the inhalation as you do on the exhalation. Now you're making your breath both rhythmic and heart centered and slow and deep, all of that. Let your belly just expand like a big balloon as you breathe in. Well, notice you can still keep yourself upright. You can still maintain some level of tension in the abdominal muscles, even as your belly expands. Your abdominal muscles are very capable of being flexed in the expanded position or in the contracted position. Try to let down some of that armor and let your belly just expand and contract along with your breath. All right. Well, we'll end our first session there for our practice, and we want to talk about some things. Relate some teachings about this theme about feeling connected, feeling isolated, and how does it connect with this theme of fear, anxiety, discomfort, right? That is just so common, right? I mean, how many of us struggle with feeling that sense of anxiousness? Um, and how might that be related to this issue of knowing yourself and feeling connected to your source?
Mm. Thank you so much, Asatar. Um, that was such a beautiful meditation. Um, so I really feel this topic really strongly because I've known a lot of people who struggle with isolation in particular, and then I think because of the pandemic, and this is something Asatar and I had spoken about before class. From the pandemic, so many people went through such a large degree of isolation. And so now I think it's really something very present. And with everything, opening up, like hopefully, right? But with things lifting, it's really important to really come back into connection. And I think everybody can feel that desire to come back into connection. But, it is a phenomena at the same time, it is a bit of a phenomena in our current culture that autonomy is somewhat idealized. And so there is a bit of like a lot of people living alone. Like I live alone, and like so it heightens very much. It can heighten, especially in certain times of your life. It can heighten that sense of isolation. Um, and so everything, really everything is really meant to be in a balance. And I think a message that gets lost in our current culture often is how important and essential of a nutrient it is to be with other people, and to have experiences with them, even if it's like as simple as like, making breakfast together, or, getting together for a coffee, or going for a walk, down the street, or like on a short hike or something like that. Like it can be extraordinarily simple. If you're somebody that's very busy and like you can't really, like, you don't have the time or the space for a lot of things, but the 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 thing is that the autonomous like idol tends to make us think, oh well, we just need to be stronger, or I just need to be stronger, and then I can get through this time of isolation. But like in reality, like being around other people is like one of the most essential nutrients that we can have as humans, like that connection, that human connection, and that nutrient of love and closeness, and just creating together or interacting together. um and so
Isn't it funny how we love the idea of spending time with other people, but when it comes down to it, then sometimes we're like, nah, I don't want to deal. Like, I
yeah,
mean, have you ever like seen a call come in and you're like, it's even from somebody I know, but I don't want to do it. Right. I mean, we know
totally.
we need it. And at the same time, uh, it can feel like a lot, or it can feel like we're like in our masks and in our roles with people, right? And sometimes it's like we want that protection and we don't want that at the same time, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially again, like the way that our culture is set up, it's kind of set up in a way where everybody's exhausted, because of all the things that they're doing and trying to accomplish. And basically, like, then when it comes time to actually have like a natural, healthy social life, you're like, I'm too tired, you know? And it's okay. Like, it's good to rest and take care of yourself, but in those moments where you actually do feel isolated, um, you can have like a lot of these thoughts or feelings like that are negative toward yourself, and that's when like this misconception can come in, and you don't actually reach out to the people that are your friends, and you don't actually think of something simple that you can do.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
about this other thing where we're all like so scheduled, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I've got some time on my calendar 2 weeks out, right? Like, and this normal human thing, right, becomes like, oh, that's another item on my calendar. I don't know if people are like me, but like the more items that are on my calendar, the more stressed I feel, like the more anxious I feel. Even when they're good things, even when they're like things I want to do, it's like you want to do it at some point, and then maybe at some other point you don't want to do it, right?
Yeah, and I think it's true too that it's like different relationships hold a different place for us. So like, you know, um, whenever I cook with my friends Sean and Val, they are just my closest people, and whenever we cook together a few times a week, and it's not like work because we are just having the best time, and it's something so natural. Like we're supposed to eat, we need to eat as humans. And that sounds so obvious, but like it's really just like a great way, to do something you're going to do anyway, like you're going to eat, and then to do it in this like way of celebration. But it's like, not all friendship are mutually like give take. There's not always that like natural harmonic pitch between all relationships. So there are those some relationships where you have to be like, no,
You're saying you need boundaries sometimes.
sometimes. So
Yeah,
every now and then you need boundaries.
yeah, you do. And we're like, you know, I don't know. I think there's a message in there sometimes. It's just like, oh, you're not supposed to say no or something like that, or oh,
Yeah.
that's mean, or that's not being a good friend or something. And you know, uh, sometimes you do need to say that, right? Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's always like the keynote is always balance, because it's like sometimes you need to like be with other people, and sometimes you need time for rest. And it's a living thing. It's never going to be like just one way.
yeah.
So
Well, what about like meditation? Everyone thinks about this like, you know, like you said, we have this kind of goal-oriented mindset in our culture, right? Like we
mhm.
should be doing more, and yeah, we gotta accomplish, right? All this stuff, right? And a lot of times meditation is spun as, oh, this will help you. You'll be able to do all kinds of things. I mean, once you start meditating and start shooting those lasers out of your eyes, you know, you'll be able to move mountains. It's going to be incredible, right? And just look at all the work you'll get done with this, right? Like, I'm making fun of this, right? Because life's about more than that, right? I mean, it's great to be able to accomplish things. We are very powerful beings, and we're sent here to do things, so we should do things. But we shouldn't be. And I'm the worst offender at this. We shouldn't be beating ourselves up all the time because we're not doing enough, right?
Correct. I
I'm going to
completely.
watch this recording later when I'm doing that because
Yeah.
I do that a lot. It's I want to be honest, right? Like, but it's a message that we get, right? So, I think just even the idea to say, oh, we can meditate and maybe that'll actually help us connect with others instead of just driving forward all the time. Um, I don't know. Is that obvious? I don't know where's the discourse at on this topic.
Yeah, no, I think that it's definitely something that it's always a slippery slope with anything self-care, because then it's like, are you just like adding more things to your list, right?
Right. I just added more to my calendar. Now I'm even more stressed about the meditation on me. Oh my God.
Uh, but yeah, no, definitely, like I find that, the more comfortable you are with yourself, the more comfortable you'll be able to be, and natural you'll be able to be with other people, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, how many of us have anxiety just even about the prospect of spending time with a friend, right? Or with a group of people, right? I mean, that's all the more pronounced a lot of times, right? Social anxiety is a real thing, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like, we need the sustenance of that connection. Um, but we also, there's issues with it, right? Because we judge each other, and we're not necessarily at harmony with each other, right? And then that drives cracks into, our own self, right? Where we're not at peace with ourselves. So,
Right.
um, it's so we just thought that's the, what brought us to the theme of of this class, right?
Yeah.
Can meditation help with that, or just work with some of these issues, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. And I feel that, for those of us like, because we all come towards these things with different mentalities. Like we all come toward social interaction with different mentalities. Like for me, like I'm a social butterfly, so like I'm just like yes, people,
Yeah.
but for other like, or in times where I feel uncomfortable inside of myself, where I'm having self-doubt, or if I don't feel safe with another individual, that can create a lot of isolation even amongst a group of people, right? And so yeah, definitely some of the techniques that I've been working with this last year have a lot to do with just like, well, accepting yourself, first of all, like accepting who you are for who you are, accepting what's inside your heart. And but then also just this ability to realize that you're worthy of love, period. Like you are worthy of love. Like that is not something that's earned. That's not something that you have to accomplish. It's something in which you have to realize.
Yeah.
And you can help yourself to realize that through actually feeling it in your heart through meditation. And so that's where meditation can really come in handy, is because like I was talking about earlier with like not being able to inhale love, not being able to even bring it in even if it's there. This ability to overcome the boundary between like I have to earn love, and therefore do I measure up properly to it, and therefore I'm going to shut down and not be able to feel any of this, and this is just very uncomfortable for me, to be able to eliminate or like not allow that to be an obstacle for you. You would have to say, it would kind of be like a yes and experience, where it's like, yes, even if it's just like, yes, I'm afraid right now, or yes, I don't feel comfortable in front of this person, and I am still worthy of love. And everybody, myself, them, all we really want is to be loved, however we experience that, whatever that means to us.
Mm. Well, I feel kind of like, I want to let you, lead your meditation, but I also kind of want to ask you, what are your experiences in meditation with the things that you mentioned, feeling fear and feeling love? Do you want to share anything about that? Is that
Feeling fear and feeling love in meditation.
yeah? I mean,
Yeah.
like you mentioned feeling fear. Does that ever happen
Oh, yeah.
when meditating?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes with fear in particular, especially like if I'm alone, like I've had a lot of these experiences, especially last year during the pandemic, where I was literally alone, and like there was a lot of fear around like the level of isolation that I felt. And so like even though I'm a very connected person, I still like, have those nights where that happens. And so
Mm,
the fear itself, I find, is one of the hardest things for me to kind of work through, in order to come into a meditation, because usually with fear, it's really closing everything off from me. It's
mm,
like everything's closing off in my body, and like really tightening up. And so a lot of the time, just like a very deep surrender into my heart, which we'll go through that together. But like what Asatar was teaching earlier in this class about deep breathing and coming into your heart space, just like we did earlier, it's this surrender into your heart. There's an inner trust in that moment of your own ability to hold space,
Yeah.
and for your
Absolutely.
heart to hold
I
space.
felt fear a lot of times too. I mean, and I think it's a very natural thing, especially when you get into your own vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Fear comes up, it's part of the journey, it's part of self-knowledge. And, you know, maybe it comes out outside of meditation too, right? Like, of course it is going to, but, like there's something about that, really touching on that in the experience. Like,
Yeah.
to do this kind of practice takes a lot of courage, so
Hmm.
I'm just saying this also just to normalize that, like
Yeah.
whatever you feel in meditation, that's valid, right? That is important. That's being given to you for a reason,
Yeah.
Whether it's not going to be pleasant all the time. I hope it's pleasant some of the time, I mean, it's not going to be horrible all the time either, but there's going to be moments of difficulty. So, um,
Yes.
something
Yeah.
to embrace. And what about feeling love? Does that happen?
Yes. uh,
I'm not feeding Leah softball questions, you guys. All right. I'm just,
yeah, absolutely. A lot of it, like with the aspect of feeling love, again, like before I can feel anything, especially if I am feeling fear or if I am in a state that's difficult to deal with, where it becomes more difficult almost to drop into a meditative state. The first step is always like these deep breaths that will help you relax. And it really is very much like a surrender and a relaxation into the space of your heart. And from that space, love is the most natural thing in the world. It's like, it's something that already exists inside your heart constantly and outside of you constantly as well. So it's something where you drop into it, and then it's almost like that's almost the leap of faith right there. And then once you make that leap of faith, like into that surrender of your heart, that's the moment when your heart can open. And the most organic, natural thing for it to do is to open up to its existence, like in the stream of love. Uh,
mm,
yeah. So
yeah,
from there, but you can, and I'll do this in the meditation right now, but like you can also draw on past experiences to help you because you have love in your heart always. Like it's just always there.
mm,
And so it's just a matter of, like you're saying, like you're in one state. It's a matter of changing that state, opening up to a different state.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just want everyone to understand what Leah said. I think it's so important, that love is our nature. Love is what's in your heart all the time, That's who you are. That's what your heart is made out of. It's the most natural thing in the world to feel that, right? And especially when you really get into and let the energy of your heart open, the most natural thing in the world. So it's ourselves, it's our own resistance to it
Mhm.
that prevents us from just swimming in that sea of love that really is our nature. And
Mhm.
so, we're going to try and work on letting down some of those walls under Leah's instruction here.
Yeah. Thank you, Asatar. So we're going to move into our meditation to try to experience this ourselves. So I just want to invite you to do any kind of movement that you need to before you start to meditate. So you might want to roll your shoulders or stretch your neck a little bit. I'm going to move straight into my meditation, but please feel free to move as you need to move. And then as you're ready, close your eyes. So, even right away, like the first step of meditation is to close your eyes and you're shutting off stimuli from the outside world. I mean, even right away, that in and of itself can be scary for people. And if it is scary for you, you're welcome to open your eyes. Or if you like to, just see if you can trust innately this moment that you are safe, that you are sound. And then as you start to feel this almost new inner world from closing your eyes, begin to deepen your breath, really allowing your diaphragm muscle, which is it's the shape of a umbrella along the bottom of your rib cage, allowing that to really release downward. So as you inhale, your diaphragm muscle moves down. And even that muscle, it's really large, and you can have resistance even in parts of that muscle. So just try to feel that whole muscle as you inhale and see if you can open up a little bit more space in different sections of your diaphragm. And then as you exhale, most of your exhalation is natural, but then you want to end your exhalation with a lot of power by contracting your abdomen muscles in toward your spine. And I like to imagine that I'm reaching my breath out in all directions as far as it will go. Then inhaling again, allowing your breath to move deep into your body. Relaxing your diaphragm muscle, relaxing your abdomen. And exhaling naturally, but then bringing more life to the end of the exhalation by pressing your exhale out in all directions. With every breath, imagine as though you're broadening this stream of breath within you. I was really lucky to go on a rafting trip down a river for a few days, and this river had this broad area to it. It was this broad river, and there's so much clean, clear waters. And that's kind of like your breath. You want to have a lot of volume on your inhale and a lot of volume on your exhale, but it's gentle at the same time. It's like soft, like water, like the river. And then I want to invite you to place a hand over your heart. If your hand gets uncomfortable, you're welcome to release it at any moment. And maybe bow your chin slightly to your own heart. Really start to feel. And as you breathe deeply, try to listen. Try to listen to your heart. Try to actually feel your heartbeat. And as you breathe, listen to your heart emotionally. What are you feeling? And whatever you're feeling, breathe deep breath right into your heart, right into the feeling itself. Creating a moment of connection between your presence and your actual feeling heart. And if you like to, only if you can do it with sincerity, if you like to, go ahead and maybe tell your heart something that you need to hear. Maybe something that you wish someone else would say to you. If you're feeling isolated or alone, maybe a simple thing you could say to yourself is just, I'm here. I'm here. Right to your heart. And then listen to your heart to see what it might say back. Allow yourself to surrender, to drop down into the safety, into the holding of your own heart, into your own center of yourself. And then while you're breathing this way and connecting in with your heart, I'd like you to ask yourself, and especially ask your heart, what does connection mean to you? What does connection feel like to you? Can you tangibly pull up a feeling inside yourself or a memory? Maybe it's a friend and their smiling face. Maybe it's something completely different than that. But what does connection feel like to you? What does connection, what are moments of connection that you've had? And as you pose this question inside, really listen into your heart for the answer to that, whether it comes as an image or a feeling or a word or a memory. And just keep breathing in and out of your heart as you listen and as you really seek inside yourself the definition of what connection for you, for your life, feels like. And as you hone in to that person, that memory, that image, that feeling, breathe into it to make it even bigger inside yourself. Almost as though with every breath that you take, you're giving energy to that experience, to that direct contact that you have with a feeling of connection, a feeling of love. And then I want to challenge you. Maybe for some of us, this won't be challenging, but I want to challenge you to say to yourself and say to your heart that you are worthy of love. And then try to inhale. So you can almost bow a little bit to your own heart in this reverence. as if it was this dear friend of yours. And then I dare you to tell your heart and to tell yourself with this much closeness, with this much intimacy, I am worthy of love. And not only to say it, but then to inhale deep, full breath into that sentiment, into the center of your heart, center of your being. And giving is such an important part of our experience of connection, of closeness. And so now it's even easier, probably, to think of all of that which you want to give to. So maybe you want to give something really simple like a hug to a friend, or maybe you want to give some of your artwork to a friend, or just give some support to a family member. Maybe you like to give intellectual stimuli, maybe you like to give truth. There's so many things that you love to give, that you love to share with others. And through that sharing, and sometimes the sharing is coming directly from you, and sometimes it's a collaboration, creating together. But from that sharing, we weave with each other and we strengthen our bonds. And we know that there is just no way, no how that we are ever really alone. We give. We give so much and we receive so much constantly. Even just through your presence, even just through the simplicity of your own presence, you are giving out directly. And just taking one more deep, full breath of all that you connect with that comes towards you. Knowing that you are worthy of love. And then exhaling out all that you love to give. All that connects us all together. And then as you're ready, thanking your body for sitting, moving your body, and opening up your eyes.
Mhm. Well, I think you all can see why I invite Leah to share a meditation, very very deep. For me, one of the things um, that I noticed, when you invited us to connect is just and pose the question, where do you feel connected, or what's what are the memories that mean that to you? I felt a lot of those deep memories are connected to some kind of grief, and
Mm,
very present in my heart right now. And so, I never promised myself that I'm not going to cry during a meditation or during one of these classes either. But it's good that I didn't, because I'm really feeling that. And it's valuable to be able to let your heart open to whatever's there. It's not always going to be some kind of um, it's not always going to be grief. Sometimes it's going to be joy, but uh,
yeah.
or something else, or maybe it's a mix. I'm also just kind of noticing that, like, um, it's not just grief for me either. Like, that's definitely in there, but it's um, like, even through that sense of connection is there, and
Mm,
that sense, or just even of gratitude for the experiences, even if they're painful.
yeah. Yeah. And it's because it's so true. It's like when we love so deeply or we connect so deeply, of course that's gonna come with like it'll strike the deepest chords inside of us. And so, should we lose any part of that, it's going to stir us like nothing will stir us in all of life. And so, yeah, and I think that's probably a big part of the reason sometimes that we can cut ourselves off from these spaces because there's so much richness of emotion there. And sometimes it takes really trusting our heart and our breath to be able to really come into these spaces so that we can be fully alive, so that we're not cutting ourselves off from these spaces and subsequently feeling more isolated than we actually are.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Asatar.
Well, and thank you. And I want to invite, if anybody has questions or something they want to share, please write a comment, or feel free to message me. If you'd like to be private about it, that's fine too. Send me a note on Twitter or on Facebook, or I guess those are kind of your options. So, uh, everyone's experience is different, and that's important. Like, in giving you all instruction and meditation, we don't want it to be like, oh, you have to have this experience or something, right? Like, you know um, you have your own experience. Like, when you tune in, you start to hear the inner music. I mean, like, whatever's me or Leah or anybody else says right at that time, I sometimes don't even hear it. Like, a lot of times when I'm listening to somebody instruct me on meditation, it's like a background. I mean, I tune in and out of it, right? But, like, this part is so becomes so pronounced.
Mhm.
um, I mean, I think you take in everything, but it's just a matter of, like, what are you paying attention to in
Absolutely.
the moment.
Yeah. I would love if you led another meditation, Asatar.
Okay. Um, yeah. Well, I guess we'll do one more to bring us out. I'm noticing that my shirt got a little bit wet because I had my hand on here for all my superpowers. I got very small hands. Comes in handy. I'm not
Asatar,
sure when. I'm gonna figure that out one of these days. It's gonna.
you got so much energy coming out of your hands.
A lot of energy. Yeah. Huh. And it manifests in terms of this wet perspiration. That's how it manifests. Anyway, um, all right. Let's do one more meditation then. So you're already, I hope you're already feeling the vibe. And if you're just tuning in, we're meditating on our hearts, and and really looking for that sense of connection with the source, with the one, with the being that incorporates us all, that we are part of and is part of us. We're so aware of our limitations and our flaws and our mistakes and our shortcomings, all of that, right? We lose track of our infinite and perfect and unlimited nature. That's who we are. And we can't understand ourselves and our flaws and whatever without that context. The light of our own being is just so bright. It's so powerful. It's we forget it's there. So as you move into your heart and using your breath, right, making your breath deep in your belly and slow and rhythmic, and if you can, feeling your heartbeat, using it to count the beats of your heart on the inhalation and on the exhalation, the same number of beats on the inhalation as you do on the exhalation, extending your breath, making it slower, making it fuller, making your breath bigger. So now, instead of your heart feeling like you're giving and receiving, I want you to take a different kind of focus. Feel that you are inside of your heart. Imagine that your heart, the energy of your heart, is like a room and you are inside that room. That's all that you experience. That's where you are, the womb of your heart. What does it feel like in here? What emotions do you feel? What sensations do you feel in your body? What thoughts are you having? Everything you experience in meditation has a purpose, it has a meaning. And one of the easy kind of ways to just perceive that meaning or just to let it become clear is to use the inhalation, right? Your breath is a fantastic tool. It's so multifaceted, it's so powerful. As you draw in the breath, you're drawing in energy, you're drawing in inspiration, and you're allowing yourself to speak to you, to speak to yourself. You're allowing the deepest parts of your spirit, your soul, your heart to communicate with the surface level, which is your mind, your consciousness, what you're aware of in this moment, which is only a small, small slice of who and what you are. But as you inhale, you allow that, you just open yourself to it. You allow the feeling, whatever it is, right? Allow the experience to just enter your consciousness. What does it feel like inside your heart? And on the exhalation, you explore. You explore. You're in this womb. What are the boundaries of it? How far does it go? What does it feel like as you go to the right, to the left, as you go forward or back, or as you go deep, or as you go high? All the different dimensions of your heart, you're within that now. So I want you to be real about what you're feeling, but I also want to share with you what I'm feeling when I do this. I feel like, it's, I don't know, I'm picturing or experiencing like this, just like in the womb, there's this amniotic fluid, that I feel that energy just um, it's very present, it feels like that I almost am not sure, where do I begin and where does the space around me, begin and end, right? That feeling. It feels both light and dark at the same time. Quite interesting. There's a sense of eternity, of timelessness. There's a sense of quietude, of peace. There's a sense of comfort, of reassurance. There's a sense of potential, of possibility, of a richness that the words can't really say. Like, I don't know what words to say. Words are feel very small. So I don't know if this resonates with you. What's more important is your own process of discovery, right? It's not really about what I feel. I'm just sharing, so it's about what you feel. This is your meditation. We are here with you. We are all sharing this vibration together. We're sharing this sacred space together. And so you may feel we're in it together. Even if you're watching this later, because time and space are not the boundaries that we think they are. Energy moves everywhere. Energy is everywhere and always. This is one of the insights of the theory of special relativity in physics. The light is everywhere and always. Isn't that an amazing thing? And this is really the theory. Time contracts, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter at the speed of light. There's no time, always. Amazing thing, hard to wrap your mind around. Light is our nature. Our nature is timeless. All right, now as you're ready, then you end your meditation and come back to the room you're in. And it's nice to share this time with you all. And
Mm.
thank you so much, Leah, for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much, Asatar. Thank you.
We're a little bit out of time, so we've got a little bit over. But if anyone has questions, please reach out, and we will, or I will be here next week. Um, you know, uh, I don't know what Leah's availability is, but so hopefully
Yeah,
we'll see that. And
yeah.
if you guys are interested in supporting the show, check out my Patreon page. I offer a whole course for people who become patrons. You can go through this method step by step. Um, so thanks again for joining us.
Thank
Namaste.
you, everyone, for joining. Thank you.